Hello, my name is Jennifer Lynn Robinson, and welcome to our first episode of Mainline Connect. Our show will discuss networking topics, interview local folks, and tell you about some events that you should know about on the main line and beyond. Our guest today, our first guest who's coming to our show ever, is Sarah Bond, the CEO and founder of Family Focus Media. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you, Jennifer.
So today our networking topic that we're going to focus on is following up after networking events. Networking events, we go, we meet people, we think we make some good connections, we have all good intentions of following up afterwards, but follow-up is really where a lot of people fail. They come home, there's a pile of business cards, we get busy, and we don't do anything with those contacts, which sort of makes going to the event not the best idea because you're taking your time and your money to go to the event, and then you're not doing anything in follow-up with building relationships and building your business. So what are some pointers that we can give as far as how to follow up after a networking event? I've come up with a few today, and then we'll ask Sarah her opinion. So for me, what I try to do is I've realized I can't follow up with everybody. Certainly if you're in sales and your job is, you work on commission, and the more people you follow up with, the better. That may apply to you differently. But for me, I have more of a consulting speaking business, and I think I've learned that prioritizing the contacts I make is very important. I can't follow up with everyone. I have to decide who it's most important to follow up with, and then what manner I'm going to follow up. So clearly you want to connect with people on LinkedIn and other social media, but then you also want to decide, is it worth giving somebody a call, sending them a personal note, sending them an email, setting a coffee date, making the next meeting, setting a virtual coffee date to talk on the phone. There's a lot of options, and that'll apply to you differently based on your business and the priority of your contacts. I love the idea of personal notes. I know some people may still feel like that's antiquated in this day and age, but to me, a personal note goes a long way. Again, it's not for everybody. Maybe it's for the people that you really connected with on a personal level, or they're really a priority of contacts for a potential client or customer. You may want to send a personal note. It really goes a long way for people to actually get real mail. So what's your opinion, Sarah, as far as follow-up from networking events?
Well, I am guilty of going to networking events and collecting a lot of business cards, and I have a little box dedicated to them in my office. So recently, I had a friend come over and help me with some organization techniques, and one of the things that I took from that was that I really need to get my contacts into my phone so that I don't have to go through that box and I don't have to rifle through emails either. So I got an app called the Business Card Reader Pro, and it was just a couple $, and it imports them not only to my phone but to the actual contacts on my phone, so it makes them nice and easy to be accessible and to find them again. When I go to networking events, I'm really looking to connect with potential readers and to let them know about both Mainline Parent and Philadelphia Family magazines and the good things that our clients are doing, and our educational events and things.
So when you do put everybody into your phone now with your system, that sounds wonderful. Do you send them kind of a welcome email, like, we met at this event, and I'd love you to follow the magazine or join our groups or things like that?
Well, if it's someone who I had a really great conversation with, I would invite them to subscribe to our weekly email newsletter, which is the Mainline to-do list, where we highlight weekly events and local things going on for both Mainline, and we have one for Philly as well.
Great. Okay. All right, so that's just a couple tips. Hopefully that helps people out with your follow-up, and we're going to get right into the interview. Okay. So, Sarah, I'd love for you to tell us how your whole business model came about. Was it always your plan to be an entrepreneur? Did you have ideas of starting this business, or tell us how it came about?
Okay, so I did not always plan or expect to be an entrepreneur. I was very passionate about marketing. As a college student and thereafter, and my career path took me to a number of great organizations, big and small. I got to be really focused and do a lot of analytics, and then I got to try really creative things, and then things where I was pushed to wear a lot of hats and on zero budget and just pull things off. So actually it was having my daughter that pushed me into doing entrepreneurial, this venture. When she was born, I kind of off-roaded a little bit and was doing sort of small consulting for small businesses, doing marketing plans and websites and social media advising and things. And I also was really looking to connect with other moms, so it was started as a Facebook group. It was the 4 people I knew. I invited them, and overnight it kind of really, friends of friends and friends of friends, and it was 50, and then it was 100, and now it's well over 9,000 members, the Mainline Parent community. It's this vibrant, very active group where you can go for all your resources, and that's sort of where we started. I built that as just a place to connect with other people, and a website to be sort of a complement. But when I started the website, I did try to position it as an online magazine. I wanted it to be more than just a mom blog. I wanted it to be an authority and a place where people could go for resources to connect with local businesses and to read stories and to connect with other people. So, and a year later after that, we launched our first print magazine, and that was combined with a large fundraiser I hosted for the Birth Center. I said, we're going to have to do a printed program anyway. Why don't we try to do a magazine? What's a good entry point? Maybe we'll print 5,000 of them. And I had them delivered to my front porch in my little Ardmore twin, and then we had a magazine. And now we're coming out with issue 11 in just about a week or two of Mainline Parent, and issue 5 of Philadelphia Family. So it's been a real joy to be on this ride of building a business.
That's amazing. And myself, I'm not a parent, and I still am very active in your Mainline Parent community, because I think it's a wonderful resource for anybody in the area, from anything from recommending a contractor to day camp to what's going on in the area.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful resource.
Thanks.
And as is the magazine. And I love the story of starting from the 4 people you knew and watching it grow very organically. But it sounds like you did have a lot of experience, kind of in this field, marketing and social media and consulting and things like that. So you weren't necessarily just putting yourself out there with no experience. But it does sound like it started very organically, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my passion's always kind of been that marketing underground, that like I can help my clients to connect with their target market, because their target market is me and my peers. So it's been very easy to understand and help them to make sure that their message resonates with local parents.
Sure. So did you do any research before you started this company, as far as, do I see a need for this in the market, or am I just going to see what happens?
My research was really fairly basic. Of course, I knew about the major regional magazines in the area, and I thought that they really did a great job, and particularly for the younger market and the slightly older market. But I kind of felt like this mid-market, where I was a mother with a baby or like small children, I kind of felt like no one was directly talking to me and saying, here are all the things for you. So that's just knowing that alone, I thought that, well, maybe I can build that.
Yeah, no, and you have, so. Yeah, but it's interesting, because I feel like since you've started this, there's certainly a lot of other resources out there. I don't think as strong as yours, but I think a lot of other resources. But it's interesting how things start from sort of your own personal need. You were a mom, you wanted to connect with other moms, you thought, I need resources, other people might as well, and everything just kind of grew from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Our market research was simple, and it started as, I would create surveys and ask the community group, that Facebook group, that, like, for feedback about, what they were looking for and what they needed, and then, okay, who were they and what zip codes and how old are your kids? And, suddenly I had a full-fledged media kit with demographics and a real audience.
That's wonderful. So as far as, you did mention that this kind of came about at a time where you first had your daughter. Mm-hmm. How important was that idea of flexibility? I mean, it sounds like you had some more structured jobs before that,
yes.
Sort of more of a 9-to-5 or maybe worse.
Absolutely.
And so, how important was that idea of finding something that was going to give you the flexibility to raise your family?
Well, once I had my daughter, before I had my daughter, I should back up that when I was pregnant, I really did expect and intend to go right back to work full time and be, flex time at, 6 or 8 weeks. And I was very excited about the company that I was working for. They were, as it turns out, they were acquired by a competitor while I was pregnant. And so it really gave me an opportunity to off-road and to do something different. But so when I had her, though, I couldn't really imagine separating myself immediately, particularly in that first year. It was very, very much about like just this new life and figuring out what
Right.
being a parent is all about. And then I really did ease into it. She was a great sleeper. That's the other way I say it.
So you had a good
Like,
baby.
I really did luck out. She used to sleep for like an hour or two in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon. And my house was immaculate. I was in great shape, and I was just kind of like, all right, what else do I do? But as the business grew, I just my childcare and things grew as well. And then I had my son, and then had a full-time caregiver helping with just the kids, getting them to activities and everything. And now that they're both in school, that also helps give a lot of structure to my activity. And fortunately, my husband also works from home, and so even like today, he helped with drop off with one, and we cover each other. We make it work.
So I'm curious about that now that you've mentioned that you both work from home.
Yes.
How does that work out for you? I think for some couples that might be challenging, and even if it's overall good, I'm sure it has its moments. So tell me about that.
Sure. Well, so we're very fortunate that we have sort of a third floor. It's kind of like the attic, but it's sort of a spare guest bedroom that is also his office. And so the doorway to upstairs we can keep closed and locked, and so the kids are not to disturb him when they're home throughout the day. My work is a bit more flexible, and so I generally keep my door open unless I'm on the phone.
So you're the one that gets disturbed.
So I'm the one that gets disturbed, and my day is kind of interrupted, and sometimes I work nights to make up for that. But it's wonderful. It is so great just to have that mutual flexibility. Nobody has to be and clock in at a certain time, and we're really very fortunate that we have that working situation. It's great.
Good. So as far as the business itself, you've explained a little bit of the path. When did you realize it was the right time to kind of start hiring help and growing things? Maybe not to the extent where you are, but just from, yourself running the business to getting some more people involved.
Pretty quickly.
Okay.
Pretty quickly. When it was just myself, that was in the first year, when it wasn't even Mainline Parent. It was Mainline Moms with Little Ones was our initial brand.
Oh, okay.
And in hosting that event, that our Moms Night Out for Mother's Day event, we really needed more people to help with like the auction items, and then just like running and pulling off that event. And when I was creating the first issue, I basically begged, borrowed, and just, will you write me an article? And I went to a photographer. Will you go to this dance class? They donate all of their revenue to charity. Will you go take some photos? And then we pulled it all together, and we had this beautiful lifestyle magazine, and that was issue 1. And when I look back at that now, it looks like, I don't know, kind of when you look back at your own like crayon drawings as a kid. That's how I feel about issue 1. I love it, and it's precious, but it's also just so young.
You've come a long way. Yeah.
And then over that summer, I really I connected really well with a couple of people, Melissa Greiner, Veronica Utz, Pamela Bottolato, and we together had unique talents in early childhood education, in graphic design, and in writing and in editorial. So we pooled our talents and each took a piece of it, and then we kept like growing it. And but it hasn't been until just recently that we've been transitioning from having people on just sort of a project basis to like really on hourly, and having people
real employees
almost full time. And and I can't tell you how excited I am to be at that level where
you should be.
Every soup to nuts has changed in the last 4 months, like the way we organize our finances and our goals, and the organization is. I feel like this year we had a lot of growth, and it's a great springboard because I finally have a place where it's not just me doing it full time.
Right. So I think a lot of small business owners, including myself, you get to a point where you think, I really need help, but I don't really feel like I have the finances or the income to justify getting the help. And I'm wondering, as you're talking about this, did you feel like at the time you started getting help, were you really a profitable endeavor, or did you just say, you know what, you need to spend money to make money and I need help?
For the last 5 years, my goal has been to just pay the people and to and I'm very lucky that, you know, our family situation, I'm not the person who has had to pay the mortgage.
Right.
Very fortunate in our situation. So, you know, that wasn't so much of a pressure. I didn't need to like bring back my income that I had as a marketing director.
Okay.
Like I really just needed to make sure we weren't going to mortgage the house to pull off this business. But and so each time I had something that I wanted to do, I had to figure out, all right, I need to raise that revenue in order if I want to hire this person to do this project, if I don't want to do the design, if I don't want to write all the articles, if I don't want to, you know, all of those pieces, then we're going to need to raise this amount of revenue. Let's do it. And then I just kept asking and calling, and we're a very small sales team, and I lead that up, but it's been working. So
what I love about everything you're saying is, you know, it really, to me, of course, with my own business, it goes back to networking, and it sounds like even now when it's more established, but certainly when you started the business, it was basically like, who do I know that can help with this, and begging somebody to go, you know, but that's all built on relationships, that you have people in your life who trusted your vision and trusted you and were ready to make those steps for you, you know, and see where it goes. So
yes, yes. I feel like we're finally getting to a point where I'm doing less favor asking and more just like, hey, I would like to hire you. Let's do this.
Which is great.
So that feels really great for me as a business owner.
So what about failures? Any particular failure that you would like to tell us about?
Well, I would say it's not delegating enough. I mean, it just kind of goes right back to that, and I struggle with that because no one will do it quite as I will do it.
Right.
You know, some people have talents and they do things so much better than I can. And I give Melissa Greiner a paragraph, and it's just kind of rough. And I'm not a writer. I'm not an editor. And I give it to her, and then suddenly I read it back, and I'm like, wow, I sound so smart. Thank you. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the not delegating enough, I think, can be a big thing. And not just with business. I think, you know, a lot of us who have significant others or spouses or people we live with, that's hard in your personal life, too. I think your personality is a lot like mine. You like to be in control. You like to do everything yourself because then it's the way you want, and you want it how you want it, which I get, you know. Yeah. But the delegation is important to make sure that you grow, you know, as in your personal life and in your business. But I know that giving up control must be tough, but I'm glad to see you're doing it. So, so what about, you know, what would you say is maybe like a book that's helped you, a business book, or even something personally?
So on my nightstand, I do not have any books, I have to confess.
Okay. Are you a Kindle reader?
No, not even that. I pull in audiobooks. I do Audible on Amazon, and one of the books that because I can listen to it sometimes while I'm with the kids or while I'm running errands or things. I can just have it in one ear, and I can do things, and I can also be absorbing just a little bit of interesting tidbits. And the book was called Creativity Inc. Okay. And it was written by one of the founders of Pixar.
Oh, neat.
And it's all about managing a creative environment, and also like once you're kind of established as a brand, and once you've kind of, you know, you've released Toy Story and everybody says that you're amazing. How do you outdo that? How do you keep going and keep growing, keep improving? And I think it's really interesting, both from the standpoint as like a manager and as a business owner, but also as just a general professional would enjoy the read if they have children and they've watched the Pixar movies, because it helps you see them from a different strategic direction.
Yeah, and personally, I mean, having said, you know, that you reach that pinnacle, and you always think about, you know, what's the next thing? Can I outdo this, or is this going to be the best I do? Is this kind of the high point of my life or my business? And I think we all have that fear, you know?
I feel like I've said it so many times to myself, oh, I've made it. If I can just make it to that, I will have made it. And then I've made it, and then I say, I didn't make it yet.
Right.
I can do something more. So,
but I think that's good. You know, I think you know, for all of us, there's always that kind of next. You know, I always think about The Catcher in the Rye. I'm sure a lot of us have read it in high school. You know, when they're on the carousel and they have to catch the brass ring. Do you remember that whole analogy? So, you always want to strive for something else, I think. If if you're not learning as a person or with your business, stagnancy isn't going to get you anywhere.
That's right. That's right.
And I think I'm similar to you. I mean, every time I think I've reached something, what's the next thing?
Yeah, right.
What can I do next? I don't have enough projects. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fun. So, as far as yourself, what kind of habits do you think that you have that have made you be able to make this business a success?
I think it's my willingness to go out there and try, and my enthusiasm for my product and for what we have created, and then there's something to be said for somebody who can wear a lot of hats. And that's really how I was able to get this started, I would say, and
So multitasking.
and also just diversifying your skill sets and always being a student. I taught myself how to use InDesign and Illustrator and Photoshop. I never took a class on one of those. You'd be surprised at how often like those things kind of come into play, and when you can just pull things together graphically, it's very valuable. And then from social media too, like no one coached me or mentored me really. I'm a curious explorer when it comes to those things, but I'm very interested in it because of its effectiveness and its reach and just how much it's constantly changing. So
I'm a big fan of social media myself, as you know, and also just self-taught. I mean, I think it's always changing, but it's always interesting to learn the new platforms and see how many people you can reach and see the engagement that you can build. And in essence, it's still free marketing, unless you're paying for Facebook ads or things like that. It's how much time are you willing to invest in it? How much are you willing to learn? I have to say for myself, all the other stuff that you talked about, the Photoshop and the graphics, I am not somebody who can master all that, but I can see where it would extremely benefit you if you can, because that can be a real time breaker, for a lot of us. And I've had to outsource that myself. I'm thrilled to do it. And I think when you talk about diversifying your skills, it's also knowing when to outsource,
Yes.
When should I give up? When is this something I'm really not good at? And, my time is better spent elsewhere. If it's going to take me 3 hours to do a graphic, right? That how much is that time worth? So I think some of that is learning that for yourself. If you could teach yourself, wonderful. And
that's
for
the
those of us that
delegating
can't,
thing.
you can't. So
Yep.
yeah. So I know we talked about like the next challenge and the next thing. What about a personal goal? Let's say we're almost I guess towards the end of 2015. Would you say you have any personal goals for 2016 that you're trying to work on?
I don't have a whole lot of things really like on my agenda that I'm like personally look. I look to just like keep up with the week to week to try to have enough organization in my house so that I feel like the laundry is getting done and the fridge has food when it's time for dinner. My goals are pretty simple in terms of my personal life. I'm not trying to run triathlons or anything right now. I just I want to make sure that the kids are taken care of and that our time together, that I really have an opportunity to unplug and that I take that.
Right.
Because it's so easy to work all the time on the thing that you love. When you love it, and it is like having a child, like having your own business.
Right.
It's hard to put it down. But they deserve my attention too, and that I endeavor to keep reminding myself that that's why I'm doing this. I own my own business and I work for myself so that I will have flexibility and so that I can make time to play with them and to be present when they have opportunities like at school and such.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
what about like a bucket list idea? Anything on that you would like to share?
I tried to think. I'm not much of a bucket list person. Maybe travel would be something that would be important to me. I've done a lot of around the U.S. I've done the rocks and dirt of the Grand Canyon and Yosemite and Yellowstone and stuff. But I'd love to travel to Europe and to do some time doing that.
I was thinking as you were talking, and you said you're kind of the day-to-day, the simple goals. But I'm remembering. I'm sure I'm going to get the name wrong, but I'm remembering in the last couple of months you were doing this whole challenge to fit back in your wedding dress.
Oh yes.
Not that you don't always look beautiful, but I loved following it, and I think it was. Also about a nonprofit, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That's correct.
Do you want to tell us a little about
sure.
that?
Certainly. So every year the Please Touch Museum hosts their storybook ball. And the Police Touch Museum and I worked together, and they hired us to help them promote it. And I said to my daughter, well, let's go to this. It'd be a great opportunity.
Sure.
It'll be fun. It's an evening event. It's a, there's food, and you could play in the Police Touch Museum at night. And it really does feel like going to a storybook ball. They have characters, and it's really great fun. But I said to her, so everybody dressed up, the children and the adults alike, what should I dress up as? And I knew she was going to want to wear her pretty Elsa dress. And I was like, well, should I get an Anna dress? And she's like, oh, Mommy, wear your wedding dress. And just her eyes sparkled, and I was like, wow, I really want to do that, but that's like 15 to 20 pounds ago. So I said, okay. So I went upstairs and I ripped my wedding dress out of the box, and I got the zipper up, and there was like this much space to go, but it was like a month and a half, 2 months away. So I was like, I bet I can do this. I've done this before, and hey, it's about time anyway. Let's try it. And then so my little hashtag campaign was Fit the Dress Again.
That's what it was. Yeah, I loved it.
And I shared it in the mainline parent community. So my daughter wants me to wear my wedding dress to the thing. Can you wear your wedding dress? Well, can a group bride of us all go and be a flash mob of brides? And within a day or so, we had like 100 and some people posted their wedding dress picture. They're like, well, that'll never fit again. It was changed into a christening gown. Or I try on this dress every year and for the last 15 years, and yes, it still fits, and look, here's me in my wedding day. And it was really this great feel-good experience of just an opportunity to connect on something like that. Because, we think about our wedding day and, oh, I was so young, or that was sort of before my life changed, and I brought these two little people, and like, it shifts everything. And but yeah, and I worked with my personal trainer over at Vertex Fitness, and they were really great, and I just really cleaned up my diet. And with my sister sort of worked along with me. She's in El Paso, Texas, but we Instagrammed together, and we would sort of show like our little zone meal of like, okay, here's my protein, and here's my veggies, and like, we had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. So I just wanted to share with our viewers that, because I thought it was a fun campaign that you did.
It was.
So we're nearing the end. So why don't you just tell us how people can reach you and the mainline parent community, and anything else you want to tell people about?
Okay, sure. So our company website is familyfocusmedia.com, and from there we have two sites, one for each of the magazines, mainlineparent.com and phillyfamily.com. And if you go to each one of those and /subscribe, there's an opportunity to sign up for our weekly to-do list, or to have the magazine delivered directly to you. And on Facebook, if you want to look us up, it's a group, not a page. We do have pages where we share our content from the website. However, the group is the place where we really connect with other parents and like let that conversation just go. And that's the Mainline Parent Community Group, and there's also the Philly Family Community. So.
Awesome. All right, so the last thing we're going to do today is just highlight a couple events that we think you should know about in the area. So this week we're going to focus on the Taste of Ardmore, and that is the annual fundraiser for the Ardmore Initiative, and that's taking place on October 15th, and that'll be at Ardmore Toyota. Tickets in advance are $40, and what's nice about this year is, besides all the fun you would have at the event with the restaurant tastings and drinks and music, this is going to kick off the first annual Ardmore Restaurant Week, which will kick off October 16th and run through the 23rd. So look out for that. That's a fun community event, great way to network, connect with other people, meet local business people in the area. And then the other one is the Mainline Animal Rescue Fundraiser, which is taking place on October 22nd at the Marion Golf Club. And that one, you have to contact donate@mlar.org to find out more information about tickets and attending the event. But I will be attending that one myself. Those of you who know me, I'm what you would call a crazy rescue dog mom, and one of our dogs is actually from Mainland Animal Rescue, so I'm always excited to support anything that they do, and again, a great way to network. So thank you so much, Sarah, for being here, for being our first guest for our first episode, and we hope you enjoy it. Thank you.